The French Broad is above all a region of life with all the richness and paradox of life. Water, forests, plants, animals, people, thronging here in rare and wonderful variety. I became fascinated with the power of the mountain topography that has shaped this water into something that can clear hillsides and flood towns in a matter of hours. I began to see all the problems that man causes. I searched out the most polluted sections of the river and the biggest polluters: paper mills, power plants, and quarries. The French Broad River is even older than the 400-million-year-old Appalachian Mountains that surround it. In the 1950s, the French Broad was one of the most polluted rivers in the country. Wilma Dykeman, one of the first writers concerned with the health of the watershed, described the condition of the river as having white scum that caps the water's blackness for mile after mile. For the first time since the passage of the Clean Water Act, the French Broad River is once again becoming polluted. The watershed can be seen as a microcosm of the entire Mississippi River basin, and it faces the same problems of non-point source solution and weak enforcement of the Clean Water Act's mandates. I found one of the most polluted Superfund sites in the country, Barber Orchard, which was an apple orchard for most of the 20th century. The orchard was sold in the 1980s to a developer and converted into suburban housing. The problems began to surface when a resident tried to dig a private well for her home. Sampling of the water found that it contained high amounts of arsenic, lead, and organic pesticides. Many of the residents I met seemed to have one section of the river that they considered their own, and ultimately felt some responsibility towards. The idea that each resident can adopt his or her own piece of land holds the promise of a sustainable relationship with the watershed. I noticed that people would always speak of the upstream in the past tense and with a sense of anger and helplessness. However, when speaking about their own place on the river, it was always in the present tense and with a sense of pride. This sense of time that people have when speaking about the river creates an interesting parallel with the history of the French Broad watershed. As the population of the watershed becomes more aware and turns their interest back to the river that flows through their home, the river gradually becomes a place that is an integral part of their daily existence.